T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff. Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
I'm T-Dog.
That's right. This is sports and other stuff. That's right. We are the Sport Weasels. So we got NFL offseason in full swing. There's lots of decisions to be made there. Play-by-play teams are breaking up. Troy Aikman, what's going on? Baseball is canceling games because they don't have a collective bargaining agreement. We may or may not talk about that. Plus, sports of yesteryear. Lugs, T-Dog, good to see you boys. Let's get it started. You want to talk about the NFL offseason. There's lots percolating on the grill with that one.
Oh, lots and lots. And, of course, heading up that craziness is Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
He has to get his FaceTime. He needs more FaceTime than Kim Kardashian. And, anyway, all I know is no matter how it works out, he's going to be back in Green Bay. Where else is he going to go?
Really?
Yeah, he's back in Green Bay. He has to. I mean, he's a nut job and all of that. He's a gifted football player, but, it's like, Aaron, I don't need to see you anymore. Just go ahead and play some ball, put the helmet on.
And he did that 12-day fasting thing. Did you hear he actually had, I think it was referred to as recreational vomiting? Did you hear that? It was part of that cleansing?
Well, now, see, you never know what to believe. But I heard he had serious, what do you call it, highly colonic.
High colonic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whole nother thing there.
To clear out the other end. So who knows? But all I'm saying is, Aaron, just play football, brother.
Okay, T-Dog, get us out of there, man.
Just to finish on the Rodgers scenario, you already kind of see them starting to make moves where they're freeing up money or restructuring contracts. So to be fair to Lugs' point, it does feel like they are anticipate re-signing Aaron Rodgers. I think it's best for him. I mean, I don't know. Again, he could be moved to Denver. Obviously, I know he's been pointed to Denver, but I don't see what they get back for him.
Right.
And I don't. Again, clearly it's kind of like a scenario with Trey Lance. I don't know how much they really believe Jordan Love. I mean, this is entering year 3, and I think it says a lot about Aaron Rodgers, but obviously it says a lot about Jordan Love. Like, if they really believed in Jordan Love, they wouldn't be cowing and adjusting all these structures just for Aaron Rodgers. I think it's because they don't have another option. Just like when you hear the 49ers kind of talk, it feels like they are really talking up Jimmy Garoppolo. Not to say the players don't really like him, but it really feels when you hear them talk about Jimmy Garoppolo the way they do, it's more that Trey Lance is still not ready. We doubt next year. So,
hey, Lugs, you remember that show on CBS back in the day, Pam Grier as Get Christy Love? You remember that?
Oh, man, that's going way back to when I was a kid. Yeah, oh, yeah. I remember the commercial.
Yeah, and maybe it's Get Jordan Love. Okay, question. T-Dog, is he going to get $50 million like people are talking? Aaron Rodgers, one season, 50 large.
I will put it this way. The funny thing is, this is a man who talked about how he wants to win a championship. Him taking 50 large indicates he does not, in fact, give a rat's ass about winning a championship. So, I mean, I think he might come close to that number. Does he deserve it? Look, as great as he is, and obviously, to be fair, all these guys, you could say that these guys get paid too much. They do to an extent, but also for how talented they are. So in terms of supply and demand, there would be people who would be probably willing to pay him $50 million. So I'll give him that at least.
But I would have to say that he's at the end of his career, no matter what we want to think. And at the end of your career as a National Football League player, you've taken a lot of bruises and bumps. You want the money. He doesn't care anymore. He's got a Super Bowl. He's had championships. He wants the cash.
Over.
Well, first off, he won a championship. He doesn't have championships. He's got a lot of MVPs. He got one championship. He's tied for Brett Favre, Brad Johnson, and Trent Dilfer for amount of championships.
You can only be in the Hall of Fame once, okay? And he knows he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. What more is there?
And he's tied with Nick Foles, I believe, has one.
Yes,
one Super Bowl.
And also was talking about like he's at the end of his rope. I believe Aaron Rodgers will be maybe 39 next year. Look, there was rumors and speculations that Brady was going to go to Miami with Sean Payton at the age of 45. So let's not say that Aaron Rodgers at the end of his career. We don't know that.
Well, yeah, we do.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
We'll give this guy too much press. He gets way too much. He loves it. He's not a friend of the show. Go ahead.
The next most interesting me is Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
This week, just this whole thing that he wants his money now. And this last season, especially that playoff game, I don't think he deserves the money. I'm sorry. I would just back off from him if I were the Cardinals.
Interesting.
I think it's a really interesting situation. And we've already kind of talked about this, but a few things. I mean, he's clearly a top 10 quarterback. You could even dispute that when he's healthy, he's top 5. Now, to be fair to your point, Lugs, the problem is he's been in the league 2 years and he's gotten nicked up twice, and he definitely falls off. And you're always going to get nicked up in the NFL. And particularly if he doesn't know how to protect himself. And he's not built like a Russell Wilson where he can take the punishment at a quote unquote shorter height or whatever. He's gonna and on top of it too, you have guys who are as talented, if not more talented than him, in a Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, that haven't really publicly spoke. I mean, obviously Lamar, it's going to get into the public because he's holding out and he's not even really, I think, willing to negotiate with the Ravens because he's representing himself.
He is.
So, but still, he hasn't gone to, he hasn't had his agent where he's acting like his agent did this, like a rogue agent decided to write up this letterhead. It was all in caps. I don't know if you all saw. It was all in caps, and parts of it were bolded. And then it had a picture of him doing his celebration where he's doing the little kind of bow, like tribute, and it has his signature brand that is a weird insignia for Kyler Murray. Anyway, the other funny part about it was too, if you look at the last paragraph, so this is them demanding millions and millions of dollars. This parchment should be very important. They did not proofread. There was one part where it says chose, where they meant to put choose. They put one up instead of two. It's like, man, for something where you're asking for millions upon millions of dollars for a player, it seems pretty dicey. And this is where it gets really shady. And I'll kind of wrap up the Kyler Murray thing on this. The part that makes it really shady, and this is where all these guys are too interconnected in terms of agents. The agent also represents my buddy Cliff Kingsbury. So
the man.
So if he feels that he slighted his guy Cliff Kingsbury, essentially this agent can come back at the Cardinals and attack them through Kyler Murray. And I'm not saying that's completely what's happening. Obviously, I think Kyler Murray's pulling the strings that he's going to deny it. But again, the agent acts for it represents the player. They don't act, of their free will. To an extent on these situations. So,
okay. As a reminder, Josh Allen got a 6-year, $258 million contract with the Bills. Will Kyler or the aforementioned Lamar get a contract like that? Yes, no. What do you think?
Lamar, yes. Kyler, no. I'm not. After that playoff game where you could tell he was protecting himself from injury instead of trying to win a ball game, and then he takes himself out at the end. And you've got a backup quarterback, and quarterbacks in the NFL want to play. They want to play right now. And Colt McCoy is trying to convince him to go back out there.
True.
He's not a leader. He has talent. He does, but I don't think he's long term for the NFL. But I do think that he will sit out. He will complain. He will whine. Whatever he has to do to get the money he wants. Now that I do believe.
I think there's a good chance he will sit out, which I kind of agree with Luggs. I think he's a very talented quarterback, but you look at what Josh Allen's done in his short career, his first 4 years. You look at what Lamar has done. And again, I know Lamar got injured last year, but again, at least be credit to Lamar. Going back to college until last year, for the most part, he stayed healthy. Even though the way he plays, you would think he'd get nicked up a lot more than he did. But like Lamar will probably come back next year and stay fairly healthy. Like Kyler has been injured each year he's been in the league.
True.
So I don't think it's easier to pay him over like some of the talents that he thinks he's in the class of. I think he's not that far off, but to be fair to Luggs, I think there's enough of a distinction that he shouldn't get paid.
So you think Lamar gets paid before the season? He'll get the big deal, some kind of big deal. Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because without him, the Ravens, what do they have? It's
Plus, he was an MVP. He's got some cred there and some, he should be paid, right?
Plus, he's exciting to watch. When you can watch a game, even if they're losing, you're always waiting for Lamar to pull something off.
Yeah, he puts butts in the seats, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he does.
Whether at home or there.
T-Dog,
what about your boy, Carson Wentz?
Oh, I find this situation the most fascinating for a few reasons. Mainly, and I'll use this reference. Zach Kiefer, Athletic, has written some great articles on the Carson Wentz situation. Carson Wentz last year, he had no game-winning drives. He was 2-5 in one-score games. He had too many times where you try to play hero ball, and in particular, if we're really emphasizing one thing, where it looked like they were on the doorstep of easily cruising into the playoffs. He crapped the bed against the Raiders, who are obviously a relatively fine team, but then against Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville, for him to screw up like he did, it was so bad that Irsay after the game was irate, and he had a closed-door meeting with Ballard and Reich where he talked at length about Wentz. And Ballard, in his year-end press conference, he talked about how the quarterback has to make layups. Essentially, again, like we were saying, like he's trying to play hero ball instead of like there's a check down that you can still get the first down, and he always looks past it. And this has been a problem with Carson Wentz throughout his whole career. And the problem is now he's flamed out to some extent with Frank Wright, who he had the most success with. He flamed out with Doug Peterson, who was obviously very important to his career too. So it's just going to be hard to trade him because these are two guys that really had some success with him, and they essentially washed their hands to some extent on him. So what are you going to get back in terms of trade value?
Nothing, right? You're just going to cut him?
If they cut him, I believe they're going to have to eat $15 million.
Yeah, lots.
And the crazy thing is, I think Irsay is so strong in his feelings on Wentz. He's pretty much said he's fine with that. For the owner to be that way after what they gave up in terms of draft capital for this guy, that just tells you. But this is the part that I find it really interesting to you all. So free agent quarterbacks, it's not a great class. It's Teddy Bridgewater, Ryan Fitzpatrick's, Marcus Mariota, our guy Mitch Trubisky. Maybe they bring him in as a stopgap. I think clearly the best free agent quarterback. I'm not going to say that Luggs won't disagree with me because I forget how he feels about it. Jameis Winston's easily the most talented quarterback of the free agents. It's just one, he's coming off an ACL injury. And I think some of his, I'd say, con characteristics in terms of like trying to play hero ball, it's too much like Carson Wentz. Obviously, usually when you move away from someone, you don't gravitate to a similar player. So I think that's why Winston's kind of not in the mix. And I think of the quarterbacks that maybe they could trade for, I don't even think this is a great option, but still they could maybe trade for Matt Ryan, but I don't know if Atlanta's willing to trade for him. And then you look at the draft class, there's Matt Corral, there's Malik Willis from Liberty, and there's Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh. At least two of those guys are going to go in the first round. They don't have a first-round pick because of the trade for Carson Wentz. So I don't know. And then also, like, who wants